Alright, so today I'm going to talk about some of the influences that Pac-Man has had on me, pop culture, video game design, and research. So to begin, if you don't know what Pac-Man is, it's an arcade game, came out in 1980 and was designed by a Japanese guy named Toru Iwatani. It was released by Namco, and in like the early 1980s, it just became super popular. It was the first video game to have a TV show after it. The TV show was called Pac-Man, the animated series. It wasn't very good, but it was still like made history. What it means to me, back in 1980, it got a really big audience, got a ton of people into arcade games, a bunch of new people. And growing up, it was always one of my favorite video games and arcade games. I think it inspired me a lot to get into video games more. And I think back in 1980 it did the same. 1980, 1990s was when it was super popular. That's when it inspired a lot of people to get into gaming more. So some of the influences it had on pop culture, as I said earlier, it was that animated series. And then it wasn't very common for a video game to get that much popularity back then. So it was crazy whenever merchandise started selling, Pac-Man merchandise, like lunchboxes, backpacks, clothes, cereal, all sorts of stuff. It was crazy. And then there's also been a movie called Pixels. You've probably seen it. It's one of my favorite movies. I thought it was really good, but that was released in 2015. So yeah, Pac-Man, it's just had a bunch of influences on pop culture, and it's changed how pop culture because now you can see video games on shirts and stuff, on clothes and backpacks. So that all started with Pac-Man. Some of the influences it had on video games was it was one of the first arcade games to be family friendly, and because back before Pac-Man, you would walk into an arcade game, and it was just full of World War and stuff that women or children may not see very. They may not be interested in it. So when Toru Iwatani was designing it, he aimed to target the audience, women and children, who may not have been very interested in arcade games before. So that's how it gained so much popularity early on, was because it was just able to appeal to such a broad audience that no other video game had done at the time. And that inspired other video games now, because after that, a lot of video game designers saw the design from Toru Iwatani and seek to make their own games like that, family friendly. And after that, today, there's a lot of video games that are, all video games pretty much are created for everyone. And then some of the influences that Pac-Man has had on research, it's been AI, some of the first artificial intelligence, studies and tests and research like has all been done on Pac-Man, just because it's so popular, and because Pac-Man has made like it's had such a lasting popularity that no other video game or movie has done. That's why researchers wanted to use that game. But some of the studies and tests that have been done have been like on trying to control the ghosts and the actual Pac-Man. So it's been really cool, like researching that, getting into that. There's also been research done on like sociology, psychology, biology, like all done with Pac-Man. And just, I think a lot of researchers chose that game because, as I said, it was just so popular, and I think it's still popular today, and I think they could see in the future it's not gonna be a game that goes away anytime soon, because it made history for sure. But yeah, that's kind of how Pac-Man influenced the world. It had a huge influence on me and millions of other people around the world. And I think in the future, the future's bright for Pac-Man. So that's it.